Well, good afternoon, good friends. Although at the moment there's nobody here. It's just me and my library. Welcome to Kahuna Reads. It's going to be another fun week here on Kahuna Reads. We're going to have a number of stories. Oh! Looks like Bob's here. Or maybe not. Hey! Hey, Bob! Or is it in the infamous Bob Newhart? Hi, Bob. So this afternoon will be a fun one. I've got a bunch of reads. Also, for those who haven't caught it in the last, well, actually the last stream is when we fully announced it. We have new challenges for those who are regular viewers of yours truly. So we will be announcing some of those as well. Excuse me. Oh, we had Subway sandwiches for dinner last night. No bueno. Muy no bueno. So to start off, there are a couple new challenges. Oh, excuse me. Also a result of the Subway sandwiches last night. No sleep. The first challenge is a 35,000 crown challenge. And if we hit 35,000 crowns contributed, I will add writing sprints to Kahuna Quiet. And to make them kind of, more Kahuna-ish, I will be adding not just the sprints, but multiple different sound effects to start the sprints. So it could be the count from Sesame Street. 3, 2, 1. So it could be the count. It could be Sean Connery. 3, 2, 1, go. It could be Pee Wee Herman. 3, 2, 1. Who knows? I actually have written down nearly 40 different voices that might appear on those streams, so that ought to be fun. So that is the first thing. So again, that's 35,000 crowns, and I will add writing sprints to Kahuna Quiet. Move to my left a little. Not centered in the library. Well, heck, what if I do that? Thanks, Mrs. Kahuna. She's watching football and me at the same time. She multitasks. So, that is your first challenge. The second challenge will be the big one. The big one is 400,000 crowns contributed. And for 400,000 crowns contributed, we hit the Mrs. Kahuna Pie Challenge. Oh, and she's doing laundry and cooking dinner. She multitasks. The Mrs. Kahuna Pie Challenge, if we hit 400,000 crowns contributed, basically, live on stream, Mrs. Kahuna will take an empty pie shell, fill it with whipped cream, and hit me in the face with it. That's the way it works. That's simple. You just need to contribute crowns. So that ought to be fun. So those were up. I didn't have time before the stream today to put up the timers for that. But we've got time on those. Each of those needs to be completed by the 25th of December. Plenty of time. It only took us a month and a half to hit 200,000 crowns, so 3 months for 400,000 crowns should be about right. But let's go for the first one, which is the 35,000 crowns, and that is the adding the writing sprints. My plan for the writing sprints will be 10-minute sprints with 5 minutes in between. They will be automated. The fun part. Hey, Daz, welcome. The fun part of those will be that they'll be completely automated, so you'll just hear the sounds. You'll see, I don't know, flashing lights, things running across the screen. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But you will get to see all kinds of different stuff going on. We are allowed to put up to 2,000 in each one, 2,000 each in every stream. Right, exactly. So depending on how often you follow my streams is how quick we're going to get things done. It will only take about, well, 18 of you to put in 2,000 per stream, and we'll go to writing sprints. That could be by middle of the week. You had 24 crowns. Well, you need to be watching more often. See, that's how you build it up. It's over time. And I'll be honest, I don't even remember how you get crowns. You know what? That's not a bad thing for me to look up right now. Twitch.tv. It spells if I spell. It helps if I spell Twitch right. Hoy. I cannot type today. I've been doing lots of work in the backyard. So, and I'm waiting just for a couple more people to show up. I know there were a few people. I've got at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different articles all ready to read. So, and one of those is a long one. So I want to give folks some time to be able to join us to make sure they can, if it's one of theirs, they can see it. Now what I need is my channel and then dashboard. Man, I cannot type today. There we go. I watch as much as possible. I spent all my crowns on the 2-hour ones. And had something planned last stream I could catch. Well, that's okay. Let's see. Every 10 minutes, extra 50 if redeem the gift box every 15 minutes or so. Is that what it's telling you on mine? Because I may have changed mine. Just to be wonky. Let's see. That's under community. And channel points. Let's see. I'm thinking about taking a nap. Mrs. Kahuna. Party animal. Let's see. Let's see what my points system is here. No, that's not it there. Yeah, I guess it's just it is what it is. I need to take something off of here real quick. Yeah. Okay, no, we're good. Alrighty. So that's where we stand. So, like I said, 35,000. We'll hit that probably by the end of the week, and I will go to adding writing sprints during Kahuna Quiet. So writing sprints all week for 4 to 5 hours straight every day. You can still chat. Funny thing is, I won't be writing. Naps rock. Yes, they do. Naps are highly underrated. I remember being a kid. No, I don't want to take a nap. Now it's like, can I please take a nap after my nap? You can gift extra points. I did not know that. Yes, you had Subway last night too. We're all suffering from Subway. Standard Twitch reward rate. Don't think you can change it. Yeah, I remember seeing something. Oh, no. I know what it was. Is that Streamlabs has their own system, and that's what I changed. So, yeah. I don't want to mess with the Streamlabs one. It just gets too confusing. All right, so I have a number of stories to read today. I've got stuff from Glarvol, DM Stretch, Daz. I have 2 of yours, RPG Bob, and Moonflower. I have stories from all of you, so I will be reading them. Got your watching bonus, donated 396 crowns. Oh, hang on, I gotta disable something else here. There we go. I will be honest, I have not even looked at the Game of Tome stuff yet. I know I'm evil. That's probably this week. I've been doing a lot of catch up on my stuff and helping out folks with their stuff, so I need to take a look at Game of Tomes. I have been a bad Anvilite. Sorry. I'll look this week, and yes, I will. I just haven't yet, so I'll have to do something there, and maybe I can do that. I can automate a way to do that. So, I'm all about automation because, you know, if I can have something else do it for me, why not? Uh-oh, Mrs. Kahuna has a tiki mug. Did something wrong with your article ad? Oh, yes, you have a tiki mug because, you know, you're part of the stream. See? Look at you with the tiki mug. All right, I think I've killed enough time here. I've killed about 10 minutes. So welcome, everybody. Yeah, Daz has multiple tiki mugs. I think the first article we are going to read is actually going to be Daz's article. I'm sorry, it's DM Stretches. And there goes Mrs. Kahuna to nap with her tiki mug. DM Stretches is the first one, and DM Stretch had a request that the voice be snide and sinister-ish. So that's how I'm going to try to read it. So let's switch over to that screen. Whoop! There we go. A little quick little flip there. And let's see what I can do with this. By the way, before I start that, how's the music sound? How's the music level? Is it too high, too low? Is it distracting? Can you not hear it? Let me make sure all our sound levels are right this time before I get going. Because sound level is good. Okay, cool. All right, then there's one other thing we need to check. And that is, how does this sound? Too loud, too soft? Bob says, what music? Well, Bob, everybody else hears it. The explosion was very low. Okay. All right, so I'm getting confused with the chat here because of the lag. So, let me know two things. Music, yes, no, up or down, and explosion sound, up, down. You thought it was a paper shredder. Who is it that can't see music? Oh, it's DM Stretch. Can't hear music, can't hear music. Explosion I heard. Music, no music. Okay. All right. Give me 1 second here so we can fix that a little bit. Let me switch over and see if I can pump the music up just a little bit. It probably went completely away there. Whoops. All right, we're working on it here. All right, how's that music there? Let's go with just the music now. Can you hear music? And if you don't, it means I'm an idiot and did something else very stupid. Which is entirely possible. Well, it's showing me that you should be hearing music. Music very faint. Okay. Let's try just a little bit more then. I don't want to go too much because if I go too much, then it will be blaring in people's ears. Okay, so there's that. All right, how about music now? So everybody let me know how you are with music. Yes, it did just change songs. And by the way, this is a 2-hour stream today. All my streams are now 2 hours because we hit that challenge last week. The 200,000 points for 2-hour stream. So this is a 2-hour stream. So that's why I'm not as crazy about, getting right started right away. Okay, so music is good now. Yes? Sorry. Yes? Music good? Do now. Okay, now no music. What? That's got to be a lag. I know there's music now. It's low. Music is fine. All right. So, now that we've solved, some of the music, let me know if you can hear this. Can you hear the cheer? Very faintly, okay? 1 second here while I adjust that. So let's try the cheer now. Good? That was the second cheer. So let me know. Second cheer, good, no. Still faint. Only a little better. Well, let's fix that. Here we go. Better? That was the third one. All right, good for you. All right, everybody. So, looks like we've hit the right levels. That's a little bit okay. Okay, how about... I think we're right at about the right point here. Better? Everybody should be able to hear that one. It's weird. From stream to stream, this changes dramatically. So hopefully that last one was better. Yeah, good. Good. All right. So now that I've kept all of you waiting to the point where I think one of our viewers has gone away, but that's probably Mrs. Kahuna in her nap. Yeah, and it's weird. I don't change any of the settings from stream to stream, and yet they change. I don't know. It's weird. All right, so this first one is DM stretches. Music has gotten real faint in the last couple seconds. It's probably in a really slow, quiet passage. So, all right, let's get to this. This is an article about Madame Giselle Laroche. I am not used to disappointment or failure. Yet you have failed me, and that is disappointing. Not a wise choice, but I can assure you it won't happen again. Ever. The last words that man ever heard. Daughter of Ramon Laroche, Giselle is second in command of the Mathilde Syndicate. She often hires people with certain skills to do various jobs for her. Normally those that are adept at acquiring certain specified items. Ordinarily, this would be a no-questions-asked basis, and those employed would be paid well for their discretion. However, she does not take kindly to disappointment. Should anyone fail her without good reason or crosses her in any way, Giselle's wrath knows no bounds. Those involved either never dare repeat their mistake or mysteriously go missing without a trace, depending on the severity of the transgression. That being said, if anyone were to earn her respect, a feat that is hard to achieve indeed, they often find her to be very generous and rewarding. Giselle has rather unique tastes, being quite a fan of dark, unusual art and curios, so is often on the lookout for works of this kind. If she cannot purchase something she desires, other ways of obtaining it will be considered. Madame Laroche is not one to take no for an answer. What she wants, she gets. Madame Laroche has earned the nickname of Ice Lady, and deservedly so. This is due to her cold and callous, emotionless heart. This mixed with her piercing blue eyes and intense stare, have earned her a reputation of being totally heartless when crossed. She will stop at nothing to repay any affront or failure. If one were to fail in a task as she has set them, they had better either have a good reason, a way to make it up to her, or run and never look back. If not, then their fate will most certainly be sealed. Although the severity of the punishment depends on the extent of the slight, but if Giselle were to pay someone for a task that was not fulfilled, then her wrath would know no bounds. More than one person has been washed out with the tide, never to be seen again, as well as various other methods of removing the evidence. Giselle is a hard-faced, serious, well-known woman with a reputation of someone not to be messed with. Tall and slender, standing at about 5'10". Long black hair, piercing blue eyes, and pale skin. Madame Giselle Laroche. Alrighty. You're probably starting to hear music now, because that last one was very quiet. Thank you very much. Thank you, I appreciate that. That was a fun one. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Women's voices are tough for me because it still comes out with kind of a masculine spin, and I have a hard time with them sometimes, but yeah, hopefully she was believable. Yeah, you see, it all depends on the track. Now we're on it as I bash the microphone with my hand. Yes, the timbre. Well, timbre is the French pronunciation, however you want to pronounce it. The timbre, timbre, whatever. I have a hard time with the intonations of a feminine voice, and I shouldn't say female voice because it's a feminine voice that I have an issue with. I can do B. Arthur all day long because she was down here. Thank you for that. That was fun. I like that one. And I gotta say, DM Stretch, the artwork here is wonderful. I'm pretty sure I recognize where the portrait came from. Someone spent some time on Art Breeder. It's actually a favorite site of mine to mess around with. It's a rabbit hole you can go into for years. But man, I really like the background image. I really like the cover image. This is beautiful look. Well done. It's a pleasure to look at. Giselle is one nasty piece of work. Yeah, everyone's got a similar pick to that. I probably have 170. I've created about that many portraits in there. Way too much time. Yeah, it looks great, DM Stretch. It really does. I really like it. I like how you reversed the gradient on the shadow so that it has a glow as opposed to a shadow on the page section. That looks really good. Yeah, it's just it's really nice. I like it a lot. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Learned all that from scratch in about 5 days. You know what? The only way to learn CSS is to go in there and mess it up. I'm a firm believer of that. I have gotten competent. I would not say I'm great at CSS, but I've gotten competent at CSS. And the only way I've done that is by messing things up and then, getting to the point where I have to ask someone how to fix it. And once I've learned how to fix it, that goes in my toolbox. And so I try not, I don't often make that same mistake twice. I said not often. It happens. By the way, a little tidbit. I was talking earlier about, I'm going to add, if we hit 35,000 crowns, I'm going to add the writing sprints. Man, I can't think today. I was going to add the writing sprints. So I started writing down just a list of voices that people have either suggested or requested. for me to do. You won't be able to read it, but that is the list. It's at about 37 names right now. It'll probably go higher than that. So, well, we're 25% to writing sprints already? Woo! Woo! Well, maybe my Wednesday or Thursday then. I better work on that tomorrow. Yeah, those aren't all the names, and those aren't all the accents. There's other accents I can do. At some point, I may, in the Kahuna Reads channel on my Discord, post a list of voices that I can do or will try to do, and I'll pin it, and then you guys, as you request them, I'll add to that pin so that we can keep a list, and you guys can have an idea of what's on there, and we can have some fun with it. And who knows, maybe I know that for the writing sprints, I'm going to have to do just a bunch of these quick little things. So I'll be using all these different voices with these quick little things. And I can tell you for a fact there's going to be outtakes. So look forward to that. All right, next article here is one of Daz's. It is the Axis of Skyfire. 3 voices in this one that I was able to determine. And let me check my notes here. Daz has asked for Leonard Nimoy. I'll be honest, I haven't listened to that Leonard Nimoy in a long time. Uh-oh! Incoming! Incoming! Wait. Let's open the airlock. Airlock is opened. All right. Tico Erica, thank you for following. Let's let everybody get in here before we go on to our next story. It is a raid. Welcome, Sable. Welcome, Raiders. Everybody's coming in. The airlock is open. Please join us. Join us in the Kahuna Library, where the books glow, where the voices spring forth, and where I try not to make an utter fool of myself in the process. I know, too late. Here they come. Everybody's coming in. I welcome the boarders. Please, come aboard. Everyone, come aboard. I feel like if I don't say it that way every time, it's just going to be missed. So, please, come aboard. Everybody's coming along. So I'll give them another minute or two. This next article is, however, one of Daz's, and as I mentioned, Leonard Nimoy. Wow. My problem is, I can't think of Leonard Nimoy's voice right off the bat. So I'm going to show you my little trick for it. What I do when I need a voice is I go to YouTube. I'm going to turn this up just a little bit so I can hear it, because it was actually not Leonard Nimoy, it was Spock. And of course, we have Best of Spock. A commercial. Awesome. Okay. Now let's see if we can detect him.
Mr. Spock, are you all right?
Yes, I believe no permanent damage was done.
What happened?
The occipital area of my head seems to have impacted with the arm of the chair.
No, Mr. Spock. I meant, what happened to us?
Wonderful. That's about all I needed. Wow, Sable, thank you. That is so awesome. If I tried to do that, I would probably... Yeah, I couldn't read. I couldn't read. No. Okay, so we've got a sample of Spock. So, it's low. It's very Americanized. And it is quite precise in how it is spoken. I do believe I can do something similar to Spock. So, let us begin. Far, far back in the time of legends, the Osprey folk lived upon Uruk, on the very slopes of Mount Nimrud. Grandar told the circle of younglings. How do they live in the fire and smoke, Grandar? The ever-questioning Spurius demanded. Back then, Mount Nimrud was a gentler fire mountain, spewing its burning rocks slowly and carefully so as not to harm those living upon it. Grandar Amulius told his grandson. But then, the firewalkers and their axis of skyfire burst their way out of Mount Nimrud, turning it into a roaring beast of a mountain. So began the dark and terrible time that brought us about the ever-swirling maw. Little Pomptina sat with her eyes wide as could be. So the Axis is behind everything? Spurius asked, sounding unsure if he wanted the answer. Not anymore, Spurius, Grandar answered, soothing the boy. We broke the axis of Skyfire before they could destroy the world. The Pandians worshipped Kalis, the sky. They felt trapped and apart from Kalis as they lived upon the Uruk, a great island that was their motherland. Only when they flew were they content, believing themselves to be in the embrace of Kalis. More than just flyers and hunters of sea creatures, Pandians learned the casting of magic. As they learned more and more about magic, each generation of mages looked harder and harder for a way for them to live within Kalis's embrace forever. Ages passed until Numerus Ulcinius Viturius became High Magus of Discovery. He found the way. This way would be difficult and dangerous, and could possibly ruin the world. Numerus did not have the political clout to get his discovery voted upon, so he decided to carry it out for himself. It would take far, far more magic than one mage could do, or even a dozen. He needed a following. For this, he turned to other mages, who also were not well connected. There were many, as the privileged were few, and not about to share that privilege with anyone. These fellow mages heard his plan, and embraced it with all the fervor he did. If they could bring the Pandians to Kalis, they would be the privileged and powerful. Numerus named his new followers the Order of Skyfire. But there aren't enough of us to do this, Master Numerus, Oppius, adept of collations, pointed out. For now, Numerus agreed. But that will soon change once we get the power of Mount Nimrud under our control. But the Firians! The Firians will give us more power from Nimrud once they realize they will get all of Nimrud in exchange. How? Numerus rose. Time to go, Oppius, Numerus ordered. Into the belly of Nimrud for a bit of negotiation. Oppius trembled on his taloned feet. Mount Nimrud was a mountain riddled with tunnels, deadly vapors, heat, and the powerful Firians. Standing nearly twice as tall as any Pandian, they wielded blades of metal and took joy in hacking others to pieces, or roasting them over molten rock. and Master Numerus thought they could just walk in for a bit of negotiations. "Come, Opius," Numerus ordered in a voice as sharp as his beak. "No time for dithering."
Yes, Master Numerus,"
Opius answered, and hurried to follow Master Numerus as he pretended his voice had not just chirped like a chick's. Numerus went into the tunnels of Mount Nimrud and successfully negotiated with the Firian, who immediately set about fulfilling their part of the bargain. Deep at the root of Mount Nimrud, they worked the volcanic streams into rising and pooling, higher and higher. This rising lava caused Mount Nimrud to smoke and tremble with growing power. This trembling shook the great Pandian city, Tarako. These were mild and harmless, but their frequency drew alarm from the populace. The Order of Skyfire turned this alarm into near panic, with predictions of a terrible eruption that all Pandians must flee. With the vile Numis lurking in the jungles and mangrove swamps on the island, their only real hope was up into Kala's embrace. Fortunately, the humble Order of Skyfire had been working on a plan that would use the very power of Mount Nimrud to build a new Tarako in the sky. Join them and save all Pandians, a rumor crafted by Numerus and his followers. These rumors grew into such a resounding voice from the populace that the Senate agreed, and so all of Tarako, home of all Pandians, united to build their haven in Kalis. To keep the croc-like Numis, for whom Uruk was also their motherland, away from Mount Nimrud, the Pandians formed a treaty with the Harpina, offering them a home in Sky Tarako in exchange for them keeping the Numis away from Mount Nimrud. With that threat under the control of the Harpina, the Senate next went to the Firians, and, as Numerus had promised the Fire Giants, the Senate formalized the agreement of giving the Firians the slopes of Mount Nimrud as soon as their new Sky Tarako was made. The Pandians, the Harpina, and the Firians called their new alliance the Axis of Skyfire. It did not take long for the Numis to discover what was being planned on Mount Nimrud, and it terrified them. So much so that, despite being a fiercely independent and self-sufficient race, they did not hesitate to send a delegation to Dophi and Aquil, folks who lived under the sea. Dophi seers and Aquil scryers quickly realized the truth for themselves. They began to rally their forces, but this took time. Meanwhile, the Pandians learned that the Numis had gone for help. Time to carry out their desperate plan was growing short. The Firians increased the lava flows, and the tremors turned into stronger quakes. Smoke from Mount Nimrud thickened and darkened. Heat from below was warming the streets of Tarako, and the sense of imminent doom seeped into every corner of Uruk. Pandian mages scrambled to prepare their rituals. Then, the Aquil and Dophi arrived. The Dophi had fish tails, so could not go on land, but they could ride water columns that they had crafted from the sea. Like great arms, these columns reached inland, and the Dophi rained magic and siege coral onto the treetops. The Aquil rode hippocampi, seahorses that could change their shapes. They galloped up onto the shore shaped like horses, with paws suited for running the mangroves and the floor of the jungle. More hippocampi took to the sky to confront the Harpina with vaguely horse-shaped headed bodies. Long tails made for balanced flight, and wings, where they should have had 4 legs, carried them into the sky. It was too much for the Harpina to fend off. They sent for aid. With their part in the magic done, most of the Firians eagerly charged into battle. Their arrival blunted the charge of the waterfolk, giving the Harpina time to rally. As this new turn of the battle raged, the Pandians started their rituals. Mount Nimrud shook and belched out black smoke. Great cracks formed on its peak. Then the peak burst in a thundering roar, flattening even the mighty Firians as the trees nearest Mount Nimrud fell, but nothing rained down. Instead, all that rock and earth and lava rained up and up. This was not enough for what the Pandians needed, but they had already known and planned. Far below the seafloor, underneath the deep, dark waters, Firians had followed the most ancient lava way to a slumbering volcano that had not roared in eons. With them had traveled Numerus himself and his strongest followers. Together, they waited until these Firians set this old volcano to roaring, and spewing out the hot, flowing stone. Riding in a magic dome upon a great stone slab just cool enough to not burn them, these Pandians rode the eruption up to Caelus. While those on the island recovered and tried to rally their forces, some of the Pandian mages converted smoke, ash, and steam into clouds that would forever drift within Caelus. Others, led by Numerus, formed all the rock and debris into great plots of land upon the new clouds. Pandians flew away from Uruk, flying for their new homelands. Seeing this, the Harpina began to sing in victory. They flew away from Uruk, following the Pandians to their new promised lands as they outraced the Aquils on their flying hippocampi. The Firians poured out of Mount Nimrud to claim all of Uruk.
Out of the depths, the swirling maw grew and grew until it reached the top of the water and consumed the belching fire rock from below, cooling it forever,
Grandar told the children, who all now had eyes as wide as little Pomptina's. Spurius was silent.
The burning rock never fell, for the osprey folk used magics to catch it and set it upon the clouds. The singing ones fled to the skies, leaving only the hordes of firewalkers, who nearly broke us. But we drove them back into Mount Nimrud defeated, he concluded.
Of course, that was not enough for Spurius.
But where did the maw come from, Grandar?
No one knows, Spurius,
Grandar said, then chuckled.
Perhaps you will be the first in all of history to discover that.
Spurius sat up straight and squared his shoulders.
Perhaps I will.
Whew. Okay. Wow, that was a longer one. But, fun story. I like the fact it really does kind of get into the lore of your world. And now my microphone is not behaving. That's fine, I can still speak. A lot of lore in that one, I like that. Wow. Things are not going well. Bob's back, I can see that. So hopefully everybody's still here. Because I didn't see any chat for quite a while there. Daz, I'm going to hold off your other one till a little later because I don't want to read two of those at the same time. Oh, thanks, Daz. Yeah, I don't know how close it was to Spock. Because I couldn't... All I could really get was his phrasing, which is very distinct. So I was trying. This article, what happened to the shark folk? We hadn't read this one before yet. I think we've read other Aquilina stories, but not this one. Because I don't remember the story at all. It was a longer one, though. Yeah, I like that story. So, Daz, we're going to leave Tugi River for a little a little later, since we have done that one before. I want to make sure I get to everybody's who's requested before we go and do anything else. And then I do have, I'm probably going to finish up the show with Glarvels. Because it is a longer one that I am chopping into 5 pieces. I actually went through, that was what I actually spent the time on this afternoon, was figuring out where to break that one up so it's a little more episodic. But it's long. All right, let's see here. Let's go to, next one up is going to be Bob's. So, glad you're back, Bob. Bob requested this. That was Walter Cronkite. So, this is going to be much more of a newsread voice. As the older gentleman of the news. Good night. Have a pleasant tomorrow. That's not what he said. But, and that's the way it was. Yep, it's all in the timing, Bob. Always. Oh, are you sure? Then Moon, I will. You know what, Moon? I'm still going to read it because you can catch this on on YouTube. It'll be there, so you can actually go through and you fast forward your way through to yours, and you'll know it's yours because you'll see it on screen. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it anyway because it's a good article, and then you can see it later, and you'll be able to see, and you'll be able to, probably, well. It's a little small up there, but you might even be able to read the chat there. So for those of you who hear Moonflowers, you can let Moonflower know what you liked. The glow at the side. Oh, on DM Stretch. DM, I liked it as a white. I really did. Red would make it more sinister, but I liked it because it popped it out a little better. I think red. Yeah, I think it was good. Moonflower, go. Take care of the headache. It will be on YouTube, and you can see the whole thing. That way, it gets done, and you've got the chance to be able to see it, even if it's not live. You'll still see exactly what happened live. And hopefully I do it justice for you. All right, this is Bob's RPG Dinosaur Bob's article, the Wolf's Bay Free Traders League. I actually helped out Bob a little bit laying this out this week because this has got some fun CSS in it. As I mentioned to Bob earlier in the week, I really, really like the way his diplomacy web looks. That's really nice. I like how it just, the highlighting, I like the colors, I like the almost circular background to it. Really nice job, Bob. It looks great. So this one you wanted me to read as Walter Cronkite. Moonflower, go get some rest. Take care of the headache. I mean, I've been fighting a stomach thing since, eating Subway sandwiches last night. So totally understand. Go, please. Feel better. All right. The Wolf's Bay Free Traders League. The Kingdom of Turnabay is a politically complicated place. There is a king, of course. In fact, King Rwallon Letracor can trace his royal lineage back through a dynasty that has lasted since before the Great Strife over 2,200 years ago. But though he is king, he does not rule in Turnabay. In reality, nobody truly rules in Turnabay because it is a nation rife with petty fiefdoms and rival factions. But this does not mean there are not powerful people or entities in Turnabay. There are, and the most powerful of these is the Alliance of Business Interests, and that term is used quite loosely, that calls itself the Wolf's Bay Free Traders League. The League is an alliance of 9 wealthy and powerful groups. These groups have used their wealth to either secure military or place chokeholds on key economic interests, or both. After the Great Strife, Turnabay became a refuge for members of all the sentient races of Carterion that had been on the wrong side of the God War's outcome. Not surprisingly, these groups fell to fighting amongst themselves. This infighting, which ultimately involved and weakened whatever regal military power remained in Turnabay, went on for 1,000 years. It stopped when everyone realized there was nothing left to fight for. There was nothing left of value in Turnabay. The next 600 years saw a peace of sorts as the kingdom functioned day to day on a tribal or village level. Slowly, though, villages and clans began to join up, either through agreement or conquest. The leaders at the time looked back to the ancient history of the humans to grant themselves titles. A leader who could claim allegiance of 2 or 3 villages or clans took the title of Baron. When a powerful baron overtook another, the leader's new title became Count. By 250 years ago, 6 of the counts had consolidated all the others beneath them. They declared themselves dukes. Technically, they answered to the king and queen, but in practice, regal authority was ignored. In the meantime, while the 6 dukes continued their political territorial struggles against one another, though other powers were rising in Turnabay. 4 barons decided to give up on the land grab that was Turnabay politics and instead formed independent military companies. These mercenary groups hired themselves out to the highest bidder for fixed terms, and didn't concern themselves with the politics of either employer as long as the coin was good gold. Over the years, these 4 companies, the Bloodsingers, the Dedicated Axe, the Swarm, and the Silent Shield became known beyond Turnabay, and today they fulfill contracts across all of the kingdoms of man and beyond. Often, they found themselves pitted against each other. The rest of the world was recovering from the strife, and maritime trade was extensive. The pickings for a well-equipped pirate were rich. The most successful privateer, as they preferred to call themselves, captains attracted good crews and even other captains. Small privateer fleets became commonplace, all competing for the richest prizes at sea. The 5 most powerful of these fleets were able to use their influence to have the Turnabay crown grant them permanent letters of marque, essentially granting them the license to pirate the seas beyond Turnabay's ports. The leaders of these fleets were even given noble titles, each one declared a Lord of the Sea. 50 years ago, one of these company leaders came to the realization that Turnabay was heading toward another collapse. Fleet Captain Gulwena Leborn, Countess Leborn as she fashioned herself, of the Legion of the Tides, realized that skirmishes among the Turnabay fleets was weakening them all. Furthermore, the internal political struggles of the 6 dukes meant that there was no hope for intervention by the crown. She called for a conference of the leaders of the 5 most powerful privateer fleets: the Raging Storm, Ysoki Revenge, the Scourge of the Waves, the Fellowship, and her own Legion of the Tides. Leaders of the 4 aforementioned mercenary companies were also invited. They discussed ways to ensure that Turnabay would not tear itself apart as it did after the strife, and the result of those discussions was the formation of the alliance known as the Wolf's Bay Free Traders League. The fact that the signatories have all agreed to cooperatively limit their business efforts for the betterment of the League and Turnabay belies the fact that these signatories are all still rivals and don't necessarily like each other. In fact, several of the member organizations do very little to hide their contempt for others across the League meeting table. Often the political hostilities are race-based at their roots. The best simplification for attitudes of groups toward one another can be summed up as follows. The Ratfolk, Ysoki's Revenge, and the Swarm are despised by everyone else. No fleet other than Yosoki's Revenge will transport the swarm to an engagement, except possibly the Fellowship, and only then for large sums of treasure. The Blood Swarm are looked upon with distaste by all of the fleets except the Fellowship. The Orcs and Half-Orcs are looked upon as crude brutes, especially by the Elven contingents in the other companies. The Fellowship is the only organization among the 9 in the League that can claim to be on somewhat friendly relations with every other. They are certainly the most open-minded of the organizations when it comes to race and culture. Apart from these, the various mercenary companies are indifferent to one another ever since the League prevented them from openly warring against each other, even when in the employ of others. This is seen as one of the biggest positive results of the League. The seafarer dwarves of the Scourge of the Sea don't really trust anyone else. They are convinced the others are constantly out to steal their superior catapult and ballista technology. The Dedicated Axe. A company of mostly humans and dwarves, though there are a handful of other races represented as well. Operating out of Delve's Shadow, a town north of the dwarven Waking Delve, this company is renowned for 2 reasons. First, its foot troops wield nothing but dwarven war axes on the field, and many wield one in each hand. Second, a unit once hired will pursue its contracted objective until it is either accomplished or the last member of the unit is dead. The Dedicated Axes have never retreated and vow they never will. The current delegation consists of humans Colonel Malus Danielum and Colonel Theorin Lehagarat, and the dwarven Colonel Bradun Foe Smasher. Scourge of the Waves. The smallest of the fleets, but by far the dangerous. The Scourge fields a fleet of 6 fast pursuit ships. Equipped with their superior catapults and ballistae, their ships do not need to rely on superior numbers to bring a target to heel. These are captained and almost exclusively crewed by seafarer dwarves. The only exceptions are a handful of gnome alchemists and engineers. Other races are represented, but only in administrative and logistics positions within the company. One, in fact, is a member of their delegation. The current delegation consists of High Captain Garnat Windjammer, Chief Navigator Yosola Starfinder, and the half-elven Chief Bursar Winog Uminikal. The Swarm. Operating out of the Yosoki city of Warrentown, consists of a rank and file of predominantly ratfolk and goblin personnel. But its leadership includes humans as well. The Swarm's mercenary are poorly trained, but what they lack in skill they make up in numbers and tenacity. The typical Swarm unit is 10 times the size of the units of the next richest company. Next nearest company. Tactics are simple: overrun the enemy. Forces standing against an assault by the Swarm quickly learn where the company got its name. The Swarm's current delegation consists of the human Overcaptain Gilles Joulot, the Ratfolk Overcaptain Tronine Sharptoes, and the Goblin Overcaptain Trizeg Rotmox. Legion of the Tides. It was Fleet Captain Gulwena Countess Liborn of the Legion who first proposed the formation of the League some 50 years ago, and the Legion of the Tides still considers itself the keystone of the Alliance. Its fleet of 8 heavy raiders and 16 fast pursuit ships make it the largest, if not the most formidable. The fleet operates out of the city of Mist Bay, a city almost completely under their effective control. The human delegation consists of the human fleet leader Gwendolina de Reis, half-elven fleet captain Quamara Lemur, and elven fleet captain Farilar Toralin. the Silent Shield. This unit is not hired for its prowess on a large-scale battlefield. Its specialty is in providing small, highly trained strike teams capable of infiltrating hostile positions to wreak havoc where the enemy feels safest. Espionage, sabotage, and subterfuge are key weapons in the arsenal of the Silver Shield, who are as likely to be employed as agents to discover internal threats as they are to damage an enemy. The current delegation to the League consists of Human Master Azanora Le Gonidek, Catfolk Mistress McCree, and Half-Elven Master Periel Quinton. The Fellowship, known derisively by other privateer groups as the Gentlefolks Fleet. The Fellowship is well known for welcoming those of any race and heritage who are willing to work and prove themselves. Advancement in the fleet is also race-blind. Current captains include a member of every race of folk on Carterion. The fleet of 5 heavy raiding ships, 9 fast pursuit ships, and 6 merchantmen operate out of the capital city of Wolf's Bay. The current delegation consists of the dwarf captain Mestra Sail Trimmer, human captain Margin Lebris, and gnome captain Bavasort Clafurith. Yosoki Revenge. This fleet has no heavy raiders, but relies on its 12 fast pursuit ships to run down their targets. Operating out of the ratfolk city of Warrentown, it is not surprising that the vast majority of crews in the fleet are themselves ratfolk. Individual captains are not beyond hiring the occasional human or half-orc swordsman, or gnomish alchemist, or even elven mage to augment their weaponry. Their current delegation consists of Captains Guthrie Longwhiskers, Silsix Largeeyes, and Cern5 Whiptail. The Raging Storm. Operating out of Desolation Point on the northern shore of Wolf's Bay, the Raging Storm is a privateer's fleet consisting of 6 heavy raiding ships, 8 fast pursuit ships, and several merchantmen used for logistics. While the crews of this fleet are quite racially diverse, the company has a known history of only granting captain titles to humans with deep roots in Turnabay. Their current delegation from the Raging Storm consists of Captains Mena Kervinen, Hilary Geruel, and Agiol Lehuru. The Bloodsingers. A mercenary company comprised exclusively of half-orcs, the Bloodsingers is recognized as the most brutal of the 4 companies of sellswords that are part of the League. Their base of operations is a paramilitary ramp just north of Desolation Point, in a harsh, arid land which they claim toughens them against any adverse conditions they may face in the field. Their current delegation consists of force leaders Gath Renan, Gurm Madeg, and Ren Kornick. All are, of course, of half-orc heritage. Public agenda. The officially stated purpose for the existence of the League is to provide a means to ensure that the struggles between the various factions of Turnabay will not bring about the collapse of the nation. The League further claims to be striving to ensure that Turnabay is rightfully recognized as a legitimate world power among the organized nations of Carterion. The public statements of the League claim they are minimizing piracy and danger on the seas of Carterion and reducing the bloodshed of war. In practice, they are simply regulating both to their advantage. The plunder brought into Turnabay by piracy and pillaging is crucial to its internal economy. It would not be in the country's best interest to prohibit piracy or mercenary hiring. In a perverse sense, attempting to eliminate these practices would violate the founding purposes of the League, which was to ensure growth and development of Turnabay. The League oversees 2 major agreements that achieve their stated goals, one that governs activities on land and another that provides rules for the seafarers. The agreement of the land governs the behavior of the mercenary group signatories within the League, while the agreement of the sea governs the behavior of the privateers. The League delegations meet once per year in the capital city of Wolf's Bay to discuss the various activities that are involved and work together to make sure that they don't get in each other's way. Every 3 years, the League releases what it's called the allocations. The allocations let each member organization know what part of Carterion is exclusively theirs to plunder for the next 3 years. The Agreement of the Land states that a member will not accept a contract to serve an outside interest if that interest's opponent has already hired another of the mercenary groups. For the benefits of other in Turnabay, this policy means that it won't be Turnabay folk killing each other. Killing each other in some war between two frivolous nobles in a far-off place. The mercenaries realize that there are enough opportunities for them to obtain contracts without having to commit to killing one another, so they are happy. The Agreement of the Seas basically carves up the seas of Carterion into 5 zones and assigns each zone to one of the privateer fleet signatories. All members agree not to raid trade ships or coastlines in a region not their own. Because the wealth of the regions is varied, and because some are much farther from home than others, the regions are reassigned every 5 years to allow each of the fleets the opportunity to benefit from the good areas. Okay. Whew. That was a longer one. That one needs a drink. Ugh. Hydrate the larynx. Bob, as I said last week, this looks good. There's a lot of detail there. There's no question who these people are, what they're for. Great job. Great job. Whew. You guys are testing me today. And we still have an hour. This is the one that Moonflower had submitted, and I feel so bad that they've got a headache. It's Walter Kahuna telling the news. Yeah, I try to glaze over a mistake in there or anything. And for a couple times there, the one thing, this has nothing to do with the look of the page for the website. This has to do a lot more with the look of the page for someone who is trying to read it out loud. The font is small, and it's a serif font, which makes it a little tougher to read. That's why a couple times there, I lost my place because my eyes just kind of glazed over on the serifs. It looks great. And the thing is that if you're reading this casually, it's not a big deal. But for me reading it to read it out loud, it's a whole different animal. That's why with Glarvel's article that I broke up, I actually dumped it into Grammarly. 1, to get word counts, but 2, so I could more easily read it. More easily read it on the fly, because sometimes reading the serif fonts are just it just messes with your eyes. Feel free to start liking it now. All of you, go. You know what? Let me post links to stuff right now. So this is the link to DM Stretch's article. And let's see. This is to Daz's article. Why is my voice cracking at the end? And let's see, to Bob's article. So there you go. Those are the 3 articles I've read so far. No, no, no. And Bob, don't change the look of the page at all. That's not what I'm saying. It's simply for a matter of reading, in terms of trying to read it and read it out loud. When you're reading casually, if you miss something, it's easy to go back. When you're reading out loud, you really don't want to have to try to go back and reread. That was all I'm saying. It looks great on the page. Don't change a thing. Hope I made sense there. All right. So this is Moonflowers. Let me see. Moonflower. Moonflower wanted me to do this as Robin Williams doing Teddy Roosevelt. I went back and looked at a number of clips, and frankly, it just slightly affected... Oh, it reminds me of a voice I got to do. Hang on a second, I got to write down a note. Uh, 39? 38 voices now. Robin Williams doing Teddy Roosevelt was really pretty much Robin Williams with a little bit of a Teddy Roosevelt affectation. I didn't play with the map. It has layers. Oh, well, let's go back. So there is the map. Privateer companies. Look at that. This was something that Bob and I were working on over the weekend. Did you find another way to do it, or did this work for you? I'd love to find out how you got it to work just right. But yes, so now you can see where the privateer companies are by their shields. I'm guessing you're not done with it because I only see 5 of the 9. Let's look at the other ones are mercenary companies, aren't they? Yes. So there we go. There's all 9. Very cool, Bob. That is very cool. That is well done. Applause. Applause are required. Very well done. Very well done. I like that. Yeah, I'll be stealing it. Yeah, I'll be stealing that. Remember, theft of an idea is the sincerest form of flattery and the fastest way to get there. Eagle Lake. Yeah, that is a nice one. Okay, so back to Moonflower's article. So I'm going to try to do a Teddy Roosevelt as done by Robin Williams. So this is the Kahuna doing Robin Williams doing Teddy Roosevelt. So we'll see how that goes. Owlcat. The owlcat is an animal that seems to be a hybrid of an owl and a cat, despite being its own species. A fully grown owlcat is large enough to carry 2 adult humans on its back while maintaining flight. These 3 adult humans are able to be carried when flight is not required. An owlcat is roughly 7 feet long without including the tail's length, which varies between a bobbed tail and a full-length 6-foot tail. The owlcat normally reaches a height of 5 feet from shoulder to ground. Owlcats are hexapedal, or 6-limbed animals with 4 legs and 2 wings. They have an owl-like face with a short beak and large eyes. Their body is cat-like in bulk and build. Owlcats have the ability to rotate their heads nearly 180 degrees via flipping their heads back after turning it. This is only possible thanks to the extreme flexibility of the neck of the creature. The vertebrae of an owlcat's neck is made of spongy bone similar in structure to cartilage. The owlcat's bone structure is very similar to that of a big cat, with the addition of wings and musculature needed to make those wings function. Their bones are not hollow, but tend to be slightly less dense than the average house cat's bones. Owlcats come in many different color combinations, but the most common is that of the barn owl. The colors that have been observed in the wild are barn owl, barred owl, snowy owl, eared owl, tawny owl, and great grey owl. The colors that have been observed only in captivity are melanistic and albino. Beak colors are normally black. The claw colors are almost exclusively black. Owlcats are capable of flight only because of their mastery over the air. Their ability to airbend is surprising, as the creatures are native to the Rakadu mountain range deep within the central continent of the Earth Kingdom, very far from any of the 4 air temples where the other airbending creatures of Lian tend to reside, with the exception of Appa, the sky bison, Momo the winged lemur, and a small colony of sky bison found on Bian Island in the Fire Nation. Owlcats are known to have an extremely graceful style of airbending to the point where they put even the winged lemurs, known for their acrobatics, to shame. Theories are that the owlcats migrated to the Rakadu mountain range from the Eastern Air Temple, but these theories are unfounded in nature, as there is no evidence to suggest any sort of migration of the owlcats before or after humans finally settled on the continents of Lian. Owlcats are exceedingly rare even in their natural habitats in the forests of the Rakadu Mountains. Their rarity is due to a variety of factors, from deforestation to hunting to a need for a vast territory. Overall, the owlcat is classified as threatened by the Earth Kingdom, but not endangered, thanks to there being no evidence to support that there was ever a population much larger than the ones found in the era of Avatar Roku. And there we go. As sort of Teddy Roosevelt. It can look directly at its riders. Yes, it can turn its head and glance right at it. All right. Whew. Let's see. Do I have time for this? 45 minutes? Yeah, Tugi River's not that long. So this is one we've read before. But what I have done is kind of look through it a little bit. Let me adjust my chat here so I can see what's going on. Come on, catch up with me. There we go. Tugi River Feud is one we've read before, but last time I read it, I thought, this would be really great if I had sound effects, which is what we were testing earlier. So let me make sure I review what my sound effects are here. I have them here. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's try this. This is another one of Daz's articles. This is the Tugi River Feud. Daz did not give me a voice to do with this, so I'm going to do it in a more normal voice so I can actually try to focus on getting the sound effects right. So let's see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. The Tugi River is the natural border between the Guinea Pride Land of Bluefields and the Bramar Clantor of Pine Mountain. The Pine Mountain Bramar make a potent whiskey called Shroomby that is illegal in Bluefields. Most commoner Guinea resent the law prohibiting Shroomby and are very willing to pay Bramar smugglers for a jug of it. They sneak across the river in the night, then head to a prearranged meeting place in the back hills. Most local officials are partial to Shroomby as well and won't do anything to stop the smuggling, unless there is a visiting official who takes offense at Shroomby. Hirman Kia was a young bull Bramor who had a talent for getting his family Shroomby wagon across the river quickly. As he drove to the old hay barn behind Blueberry Hill, he was attacked. Attacked by a fire spell. Oh. He was attacked by a fire spell. Brahmars are immune to magic, but the spell was not aimed at him. Instead, the spell struck the load of Shroomby-filled jugs in the uncovered wagon. Shroomby burns, and once the spell hit, all the Shroomby burst into great flames, setting the entire wagon and Herman Kia ablaze. This was ordinary fire, not magic, and the Brahmar was not immune to ordinary fire. He burned to death. The flames could be seen for miles from both sides of the river, and it did not take long for what happened to be realized. Who cast the fire spell, however, could not be proven, but Genny and Brahmar both suspected who it could have been. Duval Clawgrip was a local Bluefields wizard who considered Shroomby a filthy stain upon his fellow Genny. His being a high guild magi gave him an inflated sense of importance that few in the area agreed with. His family was as arrogant as him and constantly complained about Shroomby drunkards. When Duval proved he was at home sick, thanks to one of the local clerics attesting to that, tempers flared among the Brahmars who felt the Genny officials were protecting Duval and not abiding by the seventh law of fair justice between allies. Within a month, prized hogs were stolen off Bluefield lands and tracked across the river to the farmstead of the Kia Brahmar, the family of the murdered Brahmar. When the Brahmar officials ruled that the theft was a fair trade for the unsolved murder of Herman Kia, the Genny were outraged. With anger now on both sides of the river, things took a turn for the worst. Smugglers were robbed of their Shroomby, beaten or killed. In retaliation, Genny were found stomped by cloven hooves or gored to death by horn, which all Brahmar have. A year later, Duvan Clawgrip's eldest son, a young magi, was killed by Brahmar after he proclaimed all Brahmar were just filthy shroomers in need of being culled from Bluefields. Brahmar and Genny took to raiding each other across the river. At first one, sometimes two, ended up dead on either side, but raiding parties got bigger, and more began to die. The Bluefields and Pine Mountain officials tried to end the feud, to no avail. Then a Genny raiding party attacked the farmstead of the Kia family. They surrounded it and set it on fire. Elifra Kia, mother of Herman Kia, rushed out with her older two children. In the smoke and madness of the raid, they were horribly attacked. Rindal Kia, father of the Kia family, charged out, leading his two youngest children whom he had been carrying out of their burning home, then sat down when his wife and older children was attacked. He trampled half a dozen Genny and successfully escaped with his two youngest children. The massacre of the mother and children proved too heinous a tragedy for the officials of Pine Mountain and Bluefields to settle peaceably, so they turned to the High Guild Council for peace. The High Guild arrived and put soldiers in every settlement to enforce a curfew. None of the soldiers were Genny or Brahmar, and too well trained to be bribed into favoring one side over the other. Genny were forced to stay on their side of the river, and the Brahmar had to stay on their side. Any Shroomby found on the Genny side was destroyed. Duvan Clawgrips complained that this was not enough. He and his family were forcibly moved out of Bluefields and told to never return. Rindal Kia had his farmstead rebuilt and a crypt built for his lost family members. He was allowed to keep the hogs. It has been 100 years since the Toogie Ritter feud, and since then, Shroomby is no longer illegal. Trade across the river is peaceful now, and no need for smuggling. More volume. Oh, now you want more volume. I'm going to have to just do a straight read of it and then add it. And maybe just play it one time on the stream instead, because I'm finding it too difficult to man the soundboard and read it at the same time and know the right times and find the right keys. And that, or I have to reconfigure my entire soundboard so the keys are in the right place, and then I still have to remember it. So that may, I've been thinking about doing just straight YouTube content, stuff that isn't streamed. Maybe rereading some of these, adding some graphics to it and that kind of stuff. Especially if the graphics are on your page. And I think this is a great candidate for one of the first ones because the sound effects are there. Thank you, Daz. Thank you. I tried. It was not as successful as I would have liked, but I'll get there. All right, last one for today, I think. Yeah, because that's about how much time it's going to take. We may get done with this first part with 10 minutes to spare, so we can chat and have some fun towards the end here. But I want to get this one started. This one is from Glarvel. Now, this is a long article, so I have broken it up into pieces. Pieces that make sense. The issue here, Glarvel has not made this one easy. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 distinct voices I need to figure out while I'm doing this. I have some in my head. One of those voices will be the narrator. DM Stretch, thank you for coming. Hey, great article, great look on that page. Really well done. I'll be in Kahuna Quiet all week, and the next regular stream is going to be the Kahuna Help stream on Tuesday at 3:30 Pacific time. So that's 6:30 Eastern and 10 p.m., 10:30 in Europe. Well, in London. So, yeah, this has got 6 different voices, and one of the voices you guys requested for me to do, I'm going to try, because the thing is, if I'm going to do this in pieces, I can get better as this voice as it goes along. Especially if I go back and listen to it and figure out what I'm doing wrong with it. Because this has been a challenging voice. So the narrator for this will be Morgan Freeman. Because who else would you want to have narrate your story? So I'm going to try Morgan Freeman. But again, there are 6 other voices here. Whew. Okay. Let's try this. Oh, there you are. Would you mind going somewhere not in front of my eyes? Thank you.
The weathered hand waves lazily in the air. The man attached to the arm grumbles about damnable recording bots anyways, before going back to tapping away at a panel of glass in front of him. The glass covers several lights, which alter as the older fingers poke at them. They aren't so old as to be ancient yet, but they've definitely seen a season or 2 of life. The man runs his fingers through salted and graying hair as a woman enters the room. The woman's hair bounces around her face, and as she steps in and sees the look on the man's face, she smiles devilishly, and with a sweeping grand gesture, "Please, curious little camera, pay attention to our greatest work ever, and the most important event in our very existence." She taps on the glass, directing the camera's attention to the dust in the container. The man screams as the camera passes through his head and stops just in front of his eyes. "Damn you, Agnes! You know I'm working on the calibrations for the next firing!" He angrily swishes his hand through the phantom camera and just swirls around his hand, breaking into motes and vanishing into the air. "Besides, this is another one which is just empty air. How do you..." Never mind. He pauses to think. "Never mind. I'm far easier to read than any book you've ever managed to pick up. Get out of here, you distraction and heathenistic woman. Take your sweaty temptations to the shower and leave an old man to his life's work. Go on now. Get off my lawn, kid." The man's gruff tones are only mitigated by a small quirk of his lips as he turns back to the panel and blinking lights. Agnes huffs, and she begins to turn towards the door when her eyes lock onto a point just above the man. She twists her body back around and smiles as parts of her sway before settling down.
Well, Mr. Parks, we have a true viewer with us here today.
She gestures to her statuesque physique and smiles.
I hope you like your living statues. I just happen to be a product of someone's wet dream and I came out decent. Genetic engineering at its best is what I am.
A frown crosses her face before a playful smile tugs on her lips.
I wouldn't want you peeping at me while I get cleaned up from my workout now, would I? You can follow me around, only if you're not a peeping Tom. I'll let you see all my curves I'm willing to share, if you're willing to give a girl her privacy.
She smirks and winks at Parks before sauntering out the door with a seductive sway to her walk. She even does the look over her shoulder with allure before vanishing down the hallway. I wouldn't go after her if I were you. She's smart enough to figure out how to break you watchers wherever you're from. She's broken 3 already. Something about not being a paying customer. Parks shakes his head. Don't mind her, though. She suggests all sorts of things, but she's not a bad girl. Just treat her like a lady and she'll stop teasing you so much. It's his turn to frown pensively. None of us like being watched. We're working on something far too delicate and easily disturbed, as well as important, to be comfortable with watchers. We mustn't fail. He clenches his hands before sighing and turning back to the panel he was tapping at before. We only have enough supplies left for about 5 more shots. We have to get really creative. We can stretch that to 8 if I can work out the better ratios I'm working on, but I fear I'm wrong on this point. He sighs heavily. Forgive me. This test is time sensitive, and I must be about my duties. You're free to watch from above or just a bit behind my left ear as long as you wish. Just don't do what the Phantom did to me and block my sight. I may not be able to break you, but I can make your existence here pure misery if I'm upset. Park's fingers have been jabbing at the various lights and symbols the whole time he's been talking. A few times, he draws out shapes, and his speech slows down as he concentrates on making it just right during those times.
This man is very serious about everything he said. Perhaps we should listen. No, don't perch on his shoulder. We don't want to upset him. It looks like he's nearing completion of whatever it is he was setting up. I do admit I want a front row seat as well. Okay, we can stay here if we just don't make him mad. The only sign Mr. Parks gives is a soft grunt as he taps in a few final sequences. He nods in satisfaction as some bright light beams shine onto the sandy surface in the container. He watches readouts and glances at a few other monitors in the room. All of them show a rather strange range of graphs and readings which don't make any sense. However, he seems to understand them, and he finally smiles and turns to leave the bright, shiny room for the hallway and its dimmer lighting. Parks touches the door frame, and a light projects from the ceiling onto his glasses. This way I can watch from a safe room a ways away from the experiment. You see, this is a grand time to be alive. We're doing something humanity has never done before. We're in the business of thinking beyond big, way beyond epic even. Steve, give it a rest. You always try to talk to them like you're instructing a child. It'll take about 3 decades to get them up to speed, and that's if they can even understand what we're talking about in the first place. The man speaking stops and looks carefully at the point.
Oh, this one's quite solid. Maybe it'll be better than the others we've had farting around in the air.
He taps the point, and the world shakes.
Yeah, maybe this one will stick around long enough to actually see something useful.
He smiles and goes back into the room he stepped out of, closing the door and cutting off the view of his room. Steve shrugs his shoulders, rocking the world again, before continuing down the hallway.
You'll have to forgive John. He was born with special neurons which enabled him to make connections in ways most people couldn't understand with a lifetime of studying the connections he makes.
He chuckles at a sign on the next set of doors in the hallway.
Here we have Trevor, our dark, mysterious...
A pause in walking and talking, as Steve tries hard to come up with a good word to fit. Just as obviously, he quickly gives up the search and finishes lamely,
mystery of our little project. He's lucky enough to be housed across the hall from Isabel, the all-natural beauty who is the only rival for Agnes in all the grand world.
A tap to his glasses, and Steve moves on down the hallway, pausing at a T intersection.
All right, there's the chow room, graphic suite, Tinker's heart room, and Karen's room. No one seems to like Karen much, but if the truth is known, we couldn't do this without her at all. She has a way with calibrating power systems and adjusting the machines the likes of which have never been seen in this world before. How Gloria found her, I wish I knew. Sadly, Karen doesn't know people at all and has rubbed all of us wrong in every way imaginable. Poor girl just doesn't seem to get what being human is.
Steve sighs, and his shoulders droop.
I often wonder if I'm the only one who feels this way.
The only one to feel what way, Steve, and just whom are you talking to?
Steve jumps at the soft voice and spins quickly around. Oh, hello, Rose. Good to see you again. Just showing our latest solid around and explaining things to them. We've a lot of things to do, so I thought I'd give them some context so they can understand what's going on. At least in part. John even commented on how solid the point is.
The world rocks as Steve pats the point perched on his shoulder. I see. At least this one doesn't seem to be a peeping Tom, as they are still here after having a run-in with Agnes. I do say, Agnes may be losing her touch if she wasn't able to tempt them away with her curves.
A frown crosses Rose's face.
That is, if one is indeed a final observer.
She nods to herself, and then continues down the hall towards the right.
Steve smiles and turns to the left side, continues introducing the people housed along the hallway, while periodically pausing to examine the things being displayed on his glasses.
This first door is the soft-speaking Rose. Yes, like the flower, she has very, very sharp barbs. Although her and Agnes may as well be sisters in arms. My room's the one facing Rose's. And here we have the rooms for Gloria, the brightest woman in the world and arguably the smartest human to yet live, and Nick. Poor Nick. He's put his foot so far into his own mouth he knows what his elbow grease tastes like. Another way to put it's this. He's been put in his place in very clear terms and language. He's our cute little pet who's trying so hard to look smart. And lastly, we have Ned, the busybody of our group and one who tries to know everything about everyone with the supply closet complementing his door. And then my observation room just past these rooms. There we have it. Whole tour as you came in at the experiment room. Now I have to record. He stops speaking and suddenly dashes towards his observation door. No, John, not yet! The experiment's only halfway done! Steve keeps yelling and cursing as he runs down the hall. There's a sound of people coming out to see what's going on when the door flies open, and John's silhouette flashes in a flash of light, vanishes in a flash of light. It takes a very long time for the flash to dissipate from the eyes. But John is sitting there on the floor near a true doorway, looking dazed and confused.
Steve dashes in as we float up towards the ceiling of the room for a better overall view. Several other people file into the room and spread out around John.
My God, man, do you have a death wish?
Steve is checking the screens and John with equal intensity.
What did you do? Something changed and the abort went off, but the experiment started its usual manual function with only 3% of the materials.
Steve runs his fingers through his hair aggressively.
These readings don't make sense.
He keys in a couple of commands before shifting all of his attention to John. Agnes slips into the room, a robe tightly wrapped around her body, trailing side, and her hair still dripping.
Out of the way, Steve.
Her voice is full of authority while still being gentle. Steve jumps a little as he shuffles out of the way. He watches over her shoulder as she checks John's vitals and both sigh at the same time.
Thank God, he's just in shock.
Agnes looks closer at Steve. A frown graces her face as she speaks.
Do I need to tempt you to snap you back to here, or are you going to come back on your own, Stevie boy?
Her look of concern doesn't hide the smirk as Steve's gaze drops to her chest, and he blinks before looking back at the screens monitoring the experiment.
You could try to tempt me, Agnes. I'd be inattentive until I process what I've just witnessed. I don't understand this at all.
Steve gestures to a woman in a lab coat, then feebly at the screens lining the room. Agnes turns to her and watches with interest as the auburn-haired woman examines the readings, displayed with increasing wrinkles forming on her face.
But...
A very long pause, and Agnes has to remind herself to breathe before the woman continues.
But, Steve, how could... This is utterly impossible. This can't be right.
She gestures at the screens, and then the small glowing ball still in the chamber. Her arms flail about helplessly as she stares at the readings again. The wrinkling of her face begins anew as her brain works to make sense of what she's seeing. Agnes checks one last time on John and smiles as she pats his hand before cautiously approaching the befuddled woman. Rose joins Agnes on the other side, and they both gently take her hands and guide her to sit on the floor. Rose asks softly,
What is it, Gloria? I don't quite understand the readings for Steve's work.
Rose takes a turn to study parts of the screens before turning back to Gloria.
The radiation readings are actually right down the median this time. Is this what is causing the malfunction of your synapse, Glorious Gloria?
When this name is spoken, Gloria's head twitches and her hand snaps onto Rose's jaw before the petite woman can move.
No. Don't you get it? The point is stable. Completely stable. There's no other results from the test, but it's a completely stable ball right now, and it's lasted thousands of times longer than any other result ever done in this field, Rose.
Gloria starts speaking slowly and clipped.
It is stable.
Okay. That took pretty much exactly how long I thought it was going to take. See, all of a sudden I slipped into southern voices there. And you know, the tough thing with Morgan Freeman is he's not a southern voice. He's kind of Midwestern, but it's I'm having a hard time. Aegon's here. Hey, Aegon. Welcome. So that's part one of where does the magic come from? It is a long article. I will continue it next week. Hopefully, I'll get to listen to what I did and see how close I am to Morgan Freeman. I will gladly take critique on it. I'm also hoping you did hear the other 6 distinct voices. I actually had to write everything down as to what the voices would be so that I could remember. It's a lot more difficult to do it that way. So, yeah. It's a good story. It's a good start. I'm curious to see what happens next week. I'll read it ahead, but I haven't read past this point. I have to read it ahead to figure out where I'm going to break things down. So, so we've got time probably for one more. Thanks, Daz. I've got time for one more. So if anybody's got a story they want to drop into the chat, I will be glad to do it. As I said, he is a tempered Deep South. He grew up in either... You know what? It's very tempered because if you listen to him speak, there's really not a twang. It's almost Midwestern, actually. I would say, you know, a Nebraska or an Arkansas, maybe, like a softer Arkansas, somewhere in that range. Did drop one in Kahuna Reads, like, hey, Discord. Oh, okay. Well, hang on a second here. Let me go to my Discord. There we go. My Discord. Things are running a little slow today. Come on. Go to my server. There we go. And in the Kahuna Reads. All right. Myth of the Eldritch as Roger Rabbit. Oh. Trained, yeah, he probably has. It would help for acting. Okay. All right, we're gonna have to cheat again because I don't remember Roger Rabbit's voice exactly. I remember it's kind of goofy. So let me quickly here go back and see what I can do with listening to Roger Rabbit real quick. If I remember right, it's kind of Animaniacs-y, if that's a way to say it. Roger Rabbit quotes. Ten best quotes. All right, let's listen to it.
Is he always this funny, or only on days when he's wanted for murder?
What are you doing here?
Work's been kind of slow since cartoons went to color. But I still got it, Eddie. Boop, boop, be doo.
Yeah, you still got it.
Gee, but Eddie, I was thrilled. You saved my life. How can I ever repay you?
Okay.
For starters, don't ever kiss me again.
Okay. So. All right. Well, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. No promises because, man, I don't know that I can get that high. All right. Let's see what we got here. Wait for the page to load here. By the way, I really like this look, Siobhan. I like the leaf in the back. The really fine, almost filigree look to the edges on the border. Really like it. Really like it. Okay. So let me put the music up a little loud for myself. Okay. The only thing worth having is the love of a family, a good home, and decent food. The Eldritch of the Field.
The creation of the Eldritch is a mystery, as there seems to be no hard and fast rule about. Though rumors indicate that if enough people agree with the tenets, the person could be elevated to the Eldritch. Of course, no one knows for sure just how many Eldritch there are, but by the last figuring it was believed to be about 1,000. Many names have been lost over time with gender and portfolio. The truth about the Eldritch is that how the people perceive them is how they appear. Over the centuries, there have been Eldritch who have been changed from one gender to another, and even a few have become genderless.
Trusting in the weather is the only way to go. When you force it one way or another, it never turns out right. Caitlin Eldritch of Storms 175 BTO.
The Eldritch of Storms has been in all 3 gender iterations and is currently locked as genderless. Cultural perception is what creates the Eldritch and keeps them in reverence. The loss of belief in a particular Eldritch, and they lose all power, although they're still alive. The belief that the only way to kill one of the Eldritch is to have another Eldritch kill him or her.
There is life, and there is death. But the greatest in the cycle is rebirth. Merited Eldritch of the cycle of life. 249 OTO.
When depictions are made of the Eldritch, they take on those aspects. The depictions of the Eldritch can vary from one country to another, which can really be interesting when they travel. The Eldritch has only really recently started to be recorded in literature and tomes. The scribes who have started recording the history and stories of the Eldritch make an effort to depict them. In Eldritch art, they are usually portrayed as larger than life and luminescent, with a large halo surrounding the body.
All right, I don't know how close that was. But for not having seen that movie in 20-some years, and just a quick little couple of snippets, that's what I pulled out of it. It's kind of an Animaniacs-style voice, kind of high with, he's got a lisp. So, really close. Thank you. So I'll add Roger Rabbit to another voice that may end up on a writing sprint timer. So that could be interesting. Thank you. What do we got time-wise? About 7 minutes. So, as always, I have not seen my Discord channel information pop up. So let me quickly do that. So, if you're not part of my Discord, please go ahead and join. Writing sprints, we're at 10K out of 35K already. I think it's going to be probably Wednesday or Thursday. I'll be adding the sprints if you guys keep this up. Remember that you can do that during Kahuna Quiet as well. You do earn the points as long as you're sitting on the channel. And we'll add the writing sprints to Kahuna Quiet. Yeah, so join the Discord channel. Drop any links during the week into the Kahuna Reads channel. And I will be happy to read them the following Sunday. If you would like it with a voice, state the voice. I am going to put, we're now at 11,000. Wow. I am going to add a list, I pin it in the Discord channel, the list of voices that I'm fairly certain I can do. And that way you've got something to pick from if you can't think of anything. And we can have fun with that. It's, why not? So, let's see, with about 5 minutes left, it's going to be dinner time soon, so I'm sure Mrs. Kahuna is going to, if she isn't already doing it, she's going to hop on stream and say, "Get out here for dinner!" So, not bad for the first Kahuna Reads 2 hours. I will say that my voice is a little, getting a little gravelly from it. First time I've done this for 2 hours with that many voices. That was a lot of voices today. But do get your reads in on the Kahuna Reads channel so I can read them. I will be here tomorrow morning again, as usual. Sometime between 8 and 8:30 is when I start. All depends on how hard it is to get up out of bed in the morning. And then I'll be here till probably 2 o'clock, I'm going to guess, Pacific time. So that's 8 o'clock Pacific time, 11 o'clock Eastern time, and 3 o'clock London time is when it starts. I'll go for probably about 5-6 hours tomorrow, probably about 6 hours. Thanks, Sable. I appreciate it. Run a sprint to rest my voice a time or two. As I explained on Friday, the thing is, I suck at doing writing sprints. I don't do well with them at all. So I would just be sitting there going, I don't mind doing it. And it's not terrible on my voice. I need to get just, the more I do it, the easier it becomes. And it's easier to switch between voices when I can do it, keep it going. So that doesn't bother me. But during Kahuna Quiet, you guys keep adding points here. We're going to start adding sprints there. So it'll be in the mornings. So yeah, I'll be on Kahuna Quiet tomorrow. The next afternoon stream starts the same time as this one. And it will be Kahuna Help. And that's the one where if you've got questions, you're wondering how to do things, drop in there. That one will also be 2 hours. You guys asked for it. I'm delivering. Long as people show up, I'm glad to do it. And bring a friend. Bring more people. More people's more fun. More people's got more variety. More people's got more people chatting. And I just have that much more fun. View it as a focused period of work, not a sprint. View it as work. Blasphemy. How dare you work? Oh, shocked. Do whatever you would do during Kahuna Quiet. The sprints are for us, not you. Well, I guess that's one way to do it. But I like doing the reads. I really do. I have fun with it. All right, guys. It's about that time, so view it as a productivity timer. Yeah. Maybe. So yeah, Kahuna Quiet on Tuesday. Friday will be the Kahuna Happy Hour. Friday will be Kahuna Happy Hour. Mrs. Kahuna may be a little late to that one, so it'll just me for the first probably for the first hour. It'll be just me. Mrs. Kahuna has an appointment early in the afternoon, and it's probably going to take her till about 4:30ish to get home. So we'll only have about an hour of Mrs. Kahuna, but we'll have fun with that. Voice research. Yes, during your sprints, all you're going to hear is different voices going on. Davina is up, then I am definitely going to send it to Davina. Davina's a favorite, and then one of these days I'm actually going to catch her stream. I love her work. It's beautiful stuff. So I am going to raid Davina. It's that time. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed it. Keep the points coming. In the meantime, I'm going to figure out exactly how to do it Kahuna-like, so it's unique to our stream. Have her drink ready for her? Yeah, I will. Although this week it'll probably just be wine. Unless I come up with a Synergasia original sin drink. Make it happen this week. Like a shooter. So I will have her drink ready for her. But you guys, thank you so much. Thank you to you guys. This is for you for coming. There we go. And yes, the Cindergaus, the original Sin Cindergaus shooter. I'm going to send you over to Davina now. Have a great week. Hopefully I'll see you either in Kahuna Quiet or one of the dedicated streams. Otherwise, I'll see you here next week. Have a great one. Enjoy Davina's stream. Give her an aloha for me. And I will see you guys later. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught.